Alrighty, welcome back to Weenie Trades. Filming from my laptop. I'm on the go right now from getting my hair cut and getting ready for the Spider-Man movie, which I'm super excited for. Both our cats are named Peter and Parker, so naturally I'm going to be excited for the new Spider-Man movie. Hopefully you guys enjoy the audio. These are being recorded from my Google Pixel buds, so we'll see how this goes for this video. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoy these consistent Sunday game plans. So I'm just going to be breaking down stocks from the community, from the Weenie Academy. If you want to see the overall market analysis, go check out Friday's video where I talk about MOAS, mother of all short squeezes for AMC, and I talk about the SPY and the IWM over there. So first up, I'm just going to be going down the list. First up we got is MATIC. And MATIC USD, oh, this coin looks pretty good to me. We've got higher lows, clear, higher lows. Do we see this? Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. We got a flat top. Gosh, I don't see many scenarios where this breaks bearish, so I'm going to be bullish on MATIC, and bullish on MATIC still over this 2.40, 2.55. I'm looking for MATIC to probably reach new all-time highs, given that the crypto market kind of hangs out. So the crypto market really needs to hang in there, and really just not sell off. So that is MATIC USD bullish above here. MATIC, you wouldn't really want it coming underneath this recent higher low. Call it about 1.46. I think that's a lot of wiggle room. You probably don't need to give it that much wiggle room. 1.46, 1.47, but over 2.50, and we could probably see MATIC through all-time highs. So that is MATIC USD. Next up, we've got, and you know, short term, if we just quickly go to something like an hourly time frame, yeah, 2.28 is that upside break point. This may need a little bit more time to consolidate, and we can reevaluate MATIC USD at Weenie Trades Live. So next up we've got is SQ, Square stock, and Square's been getting the beat down lately. And Square, you know, she was my baby, but if you break support, I've got to let you go. And really, once we started to really break this 240, you know, you just got to cut the Square. And Square, big drop, bear flag drop. But now, Square is actually getting interesting. If we look at the daily time frame, steep waterfall sell-off. So, yeah, the trend is still down. But if we go to something like the 3 years on the weekly time frame, this is starting to get into an area of value. So I'm just going to box this whole zone. This is starting to get interesting on Square. You know, if we sell off into the 150s, if we sell off into the 140s, I do think that long-term LT, this is a dip buy for Square, and we can see much higher prices. I still stand by that. I think Square is at least a $300 stock, but on a good day, probably about a $400 stock. It'll just take some time. I do think that Square is going to revolutionize the fintech industry and take out the banks. So Square, let's just talk about short term. If we're looking at short term, we did just make a lower low. Is that it? Well, the volume doesn't really hint anything, so we're still in a downtrend. So drop, bear flag drop, kickback rally into resistance drop, lower high pivot drop. We still need to get a higher high, and then you need to see a higher low, and then maybe you could buy that higher low and then see if we take off. But, you know, Square needs to really put in new trends for the short term for me to be bullish. Otherwise, I might start dollar cost averaging into this as long as we don't, you know, go too crazy. You know, if Square starts breaking 111, I'm questioning what is this company truly worth if we start to break that 111. So this is kind of going to be my line in the sand for Square. And above it, still has the chance for that bounce and rally. It'll be interesting to see what Square does on its next earnings report. If we quickly check the expected move into the end of the week, Square is expected to move plus or minus about $10. That seems about fair. So we could see Square at about 177 at the end of the week, but we could also see Square at about 157 at the end of the week. 157, 158. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Square does. This bottom of the zone, 140 is probably a dip buy if we got there this week. So Square's coming into 140 this week. That's a stone cold buy for me. Again, none of this is financial advice, though. It depends on how it does it. I'm not telling you to buy or sell Square. I'm just giving my overall breakdown and analysis of Square. As long as we're beneath this 193 resistance as well, we're still in a pretty decent downtrend. Notice how we broke that 193 kickback rally, and then it became resistance, and we got a drop. So that's not too good of a sign. It could mean we still need to go sideways to slightly lower because of that recent rejection. So that is SQ square. Next up we got is the Qs, QQQ, and the QQQ ETF might be seeing a little bit of relative weakness. So I'm bullish long term the Qs, but within the cycle, I think that the Qs are going to be a little bit more weak. So with what do I mean by that? Well, the next 1 to 3 years might be a little bit tougher on the Qs in a rising interest rate environment. That's based on the data that I have today. Obviously, things can change, but the Qs, I'd look for sideways to slightly lower on the Qs this upcoming week. If we quickly check out the option chain says, yeah, about a $10 expected move. So about 377, 397. 397 is going to be some pretty tough resistance, and that's the top end of the range. You might want to sell bear call credit spreads, BCC, if we get a rally into this supply zone and see if you can't capitalize off of that. So that is the overall QQQ, but let's check out the components of it. So let's check out Apple, AAPL. Apple, a little bit top heavy. Apple, same thing. Might go sideways to slightly lower. On a decent market drop, we can see Apple easily back down at 155. These sell-offs can happen pretty quickly. We could see Apple in this bottom zone. I think Apple is more likely to revisit 155 than it is 200. So keep that in mind. Still like Apple. Apple's a great stock. Just, is it a great stock at these prices? Maybe not right here, right now. Look at the last volume candle as well on Friday. So Apple, can we come into the support area, get a bounce? Something of that sort. 155 is the dip buy for Apple. I'm not interested in it at these prices. Otherwise, it's just a watch and wait on Apple. Let's check out Microsoft, MSFT. Same thing. Microsoft, a little bit top heavy. I wouldn't be surprised to see Microsoft underneath 300 if there's any market weakness. Otherwise, it could just get bailed out by the broader bull market and go sideways to slightly higher. But Microsoft, I just don't see an edge really. It's at support. If the support goes, you could actually maybe even short Microsoft or at least take a bear call credit spread on it if you just want to sell upside premium saying, hey, I don't think Microsoft's going to go up too much. So Microsoft, yeah, if we quickly check the expected move this week for Microsoft, about $10. That seems about fair. So, yeah, does Microsoft get back into the 334s area? Maybe. I don't know. So that is Microsoft. Facebook over here. Facebook, just kind of going sideways. Facebook, I can't really decide if I'm bullish or bearish on it. It's all over the place. I got to say Facebook bullish only if we can get above 350. Otherwise, Facebook, I'm just going to go with sideways, maybe even sideways to slightly lower for the next coming months on Facebook. So that is Facebook. Let's check out Netflix, NFLX. Netflix, big rejection from 700, now selling off. I do think that Netflix, if we're coming into 550, that is the potential dip buy on Netflix. Of course, you got to see how it reacts at that area. But Netflix, not looking too hot. Maybe there's a little bit of an upside breakout over 600, but no real edge there. It's still just really weak. So that's why I'm not just super thrilled about the Qs right now, is because these stocks are all duds. Look at Amazon. What a loser. Well, come on, Amazon. You make a ton of money and you look like this. This is a choppy weekly pattern. I mean, it's still higher highs and higher lows, arguably a double top right there, but could just be one big ascending triangle, but could just flop on over. Again, though, Amazon, yeah, just choppy. There's not a lot of trend. I'd expect sideways to slightly lower for the upcoming week. Real quick, I want to check the expected move. Amazon, $120 expected move. That's enormous. I think we probably stay within that for this week. So Amazon, as long as we're beneath this 34.28, that's going to be bearish. As long as we can hold, though, this 33.30 should be just fine. And that kind of bodes the same for the overall market. Let's quickly check out Google. Google, yeah, just kind of weak on Friday. Google just being a dud along with the rest of the tech market. Long term, I like this. I like this for 2022. It's my number one tech stock to go long on if the overall tech stocks are strong. But still, Google's a nice good uptrend. I like this long term, but short term, it's like, that's like a short setup. If I've seen one, that's a short setup underneath 28, 23. Might just cut some longs if we start to break that on Google. Otherwise, Yeah, the expected move for Google is $93. Google always usually stays inside the expected move. They price in way too much on the options. Sometimes during this period of time, though, the options were very, very cheap. And that's where some really explosive moves happen. From 2,100 all the way up to 3,000. Google's had an amazing year. We'll see if it gets sold off into the end of the year or if it can have a little bit of stability. So that's the overall tech sector. That's the QQQ. Let's check out NVIDIA over here. NVIDIA talked about it being a little bit more bearish last week, and we got that lower low on the daily. And Friday's candle does not look super good for NVIDIA. So NVIDIA looks a little bit bearish if you're asking me. Sideways to slightly lower. NVIDIA, it's probably a dip buy at about the 255 to 260 area into the end of the year. But right now, it just looks like it wants to go sideways to slightly lower. I mean, that's exactly what this candle is telling me. After Thursday's nasty, nasty gap and crap candle, the SMH got absolutely demolished. So, yeah, NVDA, let's check the expected move for the week. Expected move for the week is about $20. So that's a pretty wide expected move. That puts NVIDIA at about 258. So 258 might be the dip buy instead of 260. See how I like to use those expected moves to help me find these dip buys. It's not exactly support and resistance, but it can be support and resistance pretty well if we are coming into that area. So keep an eye on 258 for NVIDIA as the dip buy. Otherwise, if we are moving higher, just expect it to go sideways. There's not really an edge in buying NVIDIA or being rushing to buy NVIDIA. I think too many people accumulated too much NVIDIA up here. I think the noobs accumulated NVIDIA up there. Meanwhile, I'm just slowly selling and looking to buy it back. So NVIDIA, be cautious on it. I still remain cautious on NVIDIA. Next up we got is PLTR and Palantir. This is a nasty chart. Palantir is destined to be 25 bucks forever, except for right now we're at 19. So Palantir, high points you can clearly see is about 30. Low points we can clearly see is at 20. So at least we're at the low end of the trading range. What's to say we can't just come back up to the midpoint of the trading range? And that would be, yeah, the midpoint. You got to be conservative, 22. And that would be a, what, 10% move? So 22 is that next area of resistance. If you love Palantir, yeah, it's probably a dip buy right here, right now. Otherwise, if we eclipse this low right over here of 1706, we could sell off and make a lower low. Palantir's expected move for the week is only $1, and then see how its implied volatility and expected move shrinks as the stock gets clapped over time. So Palantir, no, why? Why be interested yet? You can just wait for, if you want to go long, just go long over Friday's high, and stop can go right underneath Friday's low. So long over Friday's high, stop underneath Friday's low, and then see if we can't get a nice good 15% rally. That's a pretty juicy rally from that pivot. So that's if we can do that. I still think it's a little bit speculative because the trend is still down. Why didn't the buyers buy it up right over here? Why didn't the buyers buy it up over here? Why didn't the buyers buy it up over here? Are the buyers going to buy it up right here? Yeah, maybe not. Time will tell on Palantir. So if we make that lower low, you got to really, really be patient with Palantir and let it find a bottom. And then if you start to see it curl or arch, then maybe you could speculate an entry. So that is PLTR, Palantir. Next up we got is UUP. And I believe that this is the dollar. UUP, yep, looks bullish. This is a nice flag setup over here. So rally, and now we're in an equilibrium. So we have our high, low, lower high, higher low. Technically, this is a higher high. So an uptrend equilibrium, not really even an equilibrium. So the dollar looks bullish. Look for that to break out. I would say there's like a 65% chance that the dollar breaks out instead of breaks down. Yep, even with all the money printing and shenanigans that are going on in this world, DXY, dollar, yep, DXY still looks good. Coming right back up. If we look at the weekly time frame, weekly, let's check out some zones over here. Looking at this area, so the dollar, you could see it printing 97, maybe 97.70, maybe even as high as 98. I wouldn't even be surprised if the dollar hits 100. So DXY, the cash index, yeah, 100. 100 would be a stretch target, a conservative target. So this would kind of be like R1, call it like 97 to 98. And then we'll call it like R2, resistance 2 would be that 100. I don't know if the dollar breaks this high. We'll have to reevaluate that. This is just a rally, base. Let's see another rally on the overall dollar. Otherwise, if the dollar's breaking the lows of last week, that could just be reversing the reversal. So UUP is a way that you can purchase the dollar and invest in it. It does actually have options. Options aren't super liquid, but I've traded them before. They get the job done. You can go with right at the money, 5-cent wide spreads. Not too bad. 25.50 strike call. Could be a potential trade this upcoming week if the dollar's seeing some strength. So keep an eye out on the UUP, the dollar, or DXY. So that is UUP. Next up, we got is Goldman Sachs, GS. And Goldman Sachs still has not broken that 400 level. We got super close. This is why we have entry triggers over levels. And look at that, 399.84, boom, getting crushed. So if we quickly check out the daily time frame, this pattern doesn't look as good anymore. So we talked about how, we got this downtrend over here. We got these lows. We hit our head at the downtrend. We sold off. We put in a higher low. So as long as we hold that higher low, sure. But look at Friday's candle. What's going on with the banks? Do the banks stink or something? Something's weird about this. These up, down, and it's corresponds with the overall market. But if we check out the XLF, the financial sector, yeah, we made a lower low, but came right back up. Is that a jab? Is that a jab? Which, by the way, if you're in the Weenie Trades course, be sure to check out the new sections, jabs and false breakouts, also updated sections. Be sure to join the course if you're not already in it. Free money back guarantee. I make personal videos for you, and you get your stocks broken down by yours truly. So be sure to check out that. So we talk about jabs within the course and lots of other chart patterns. So the jabs are kind of like the chess in trading, where are you expecting a false breakout or a false breakdown? Are there shenanigans afoot? And the telltale signs of when those shenanigans occur is really important as well. But this could be one of those times where the XLF is jabbing on higher, so it's really going to be important to watch the financials. But either way, Goldman Sachs, I would say if we're closing hourly or daily beneath Friday's low, call it 380, that could put Goldman Sachs in a little bit of trouble. And then we'll have to wait and see how they report earnings in the future. When are earnings? Well, let's check it out right here. January 18th. So you might have to wait a while before trading Goldman Sachs. Pays a good dividend if you want to scoop up the shares, get that guaranteed money. That's the only guarantee. There are no other guarantees in the market. And obviously, Goldman Sachs is still bullish over that 400. I'd love to take the long setup over 400. Nice, good long swing trade. Grab the equity. If we check the option chain for this week, it is expecting a $14, $15 expected move. That's actually pretty wide, especially since we're only having 4 days of work. So 4 days of trading this week. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So Goldman Sachs, keep an eye out on that. Next up, request we got is SEDG. SEDG, very interesting daily chart. So big spike up. That's a false breakout. This is a short setup, by the way, over here. That's a sell setup because that's a jab. We broke out and snap back in. You can sell. You can put your stop loss above the highs, and then boom, you just get money on the way down. So just interesting to see what happened after the fact. I mean, this is the first time I'm breaking down this chart. This did fall into a demand zone. So as long as this holds, this could be a potential reversal. I like the spike in volume, hammer candle printing up the highs. Could be a nice long over 290. But if you're taking that as a swing trade, your stop has got to be decently wide at about 272. So, yeah, 18 points. Do you think you can get at least 18 points or more? Maybe. This is going to correspond with the rest of the market. Here's this breakdown candle high right here of 309.85. As long as we're underneath that, call it 310, this could just be range bound. This could just be range bound. So we'll see if we can break out from there. Otherwise, it could be a long over Friday's high. And you can see if it can't retrace at least up to probably 300. If we check the option chain, big expected move, but it isn't until January. So $44 expected move, but that's pricing in a whole extra month from now. So SEDG looks like it could be the reversal, but keep in mind the trend is against you. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So you would just expect yet another lower high. I would say let it put in the lower high, let it see if it can find a higher low in stability, and maybe you can buy it at something like 280 with a stop loss at 272, and that's a better risk reward. So that's SEDG. You would not want it breaking 273. Otherwise, we're probably just going to break these lows. I mean, if you want to give it extra space, fine. But 250 would be that extra space level on SEDG. We quickly check out the weekly, higher highs on the weekly. So it's kind of make or break it time for SEDG. Are we going to make it or are we going to break it? So that is SEDG. And let's break down AMC. AMC was broken down on Friday. So I'm going to break down short-term levels for this upcoming week. AMC, if we just check the hourly time frame, as long as we're holding above 27.77, short-term uptrend is actually intact. So 27.77, short-term uptrend intact. Otherwise, there's probably another dip buy in this little zone. It corresponds with this low over here on this day and this pre-market high on this day. That's down at about 25.79. So 25.79. If we start breaking that, yeah, AMC in the gutter. But otherwise, AMC, next area of resistance is that 36. The range can really expand. Maybe there's a little bit of trouble in this zone. Mark your calendar, 31.26. But that's likely to get blown through if we're coming up so close to that. So AMC, this whole area supply zone, stone cold short for me at 36.47. Stone cold short for me, 36.47. Can we get that breakdown? Can we get that higher low pullback? That's what I see for AMC. If we check the expected move for this week, $5.37 as an expected move. That's a really high implied volatility. So if AMC is gapping up and there's still high implied volatility, bear call credit spreads, selling out of the money calls, but capping your risk, buying another out of the money call to cap that max loss might be the way to go. So bear call credit spreads, go check out the options course if you don't know how to do those, or just ask me in the comments or ask me about it live. Lots of ways to skin a cat, lots of ways to make money in this market. Otherwise, hey, if you're an AMC bull, you can sell bull put credit spreads, BPC, bull put credit spreads. If we're selling off into support and you think we're just going to go sideways to slightly higher from that point in time. But I think that if we are selling off, we could just zigzag and go sideways to slightly lower. So that's just AMC. Lastly, our last stock of the day is Naked. And fun fact, this is my Call of Duty clan tag, Naked. And boy, poor Naked. This chart, it's a short seller's dream. I see a lot of bag holders probably from threes, twos or threes. I feel bad for them because they need to, they need to train. They need to train a little bit more. But beautiful breakout, and this is a pump and dump, pump, dump, zigzag into nothing. Pump, dump, zigzag, pump, dump, zigzag into nothing. This is exactly what zigzag into nothing looks like. So Naked, I'd be very bearish this name. I mean, there's no signs of recovery. I mean, just a doji day on Friday, down 3.76%. I mean, this stock's probably going to zero, maybe even 0.01. And even if it isn't going to zero, I mean, I guess it could get a start if it could break $1. But really, maybe above 94 cents. That's where a lot of shorts might get trapped. I mean, but Naked, oh boy, the stock really is in trouble. Be careful on this one. Bearish, bearish, bearish. Lots of resistance, stair stepping lower. I mean, if I just quickly check out something like the option chain, no options, so can't even calculate the expected moves. Watch out for resistance at 51 cents up to 52 cents. Look for a breakdown underneath 49 cents. If you're bullish, you just probably trying to guess a bottom. And if you're guessing the bottom, I mean, you might as well just give it 46 cents as that low. I would give it 47 to 48 cents. So that is the last stock that I'm breaking down today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Google Pixel Buds. Hopefully this mic shows up pretty well. Other than that, get excited to see my haircut tomorrow. My hair is getting bad when I'm getting messages from people on how to style my hair and cut my hair. And I appreciate those comments because it just reminds me to get my hair cut faster. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to go enjoy the Spider-Man movie. and get this uploaded to you. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.